All right, hey everyone who's just tuning in. We're just kind of getting our ducks in a row here, so bear with me for just a second while I share the live stream. We're going to do this on YouTube instead of Facebook Live because Facebook Live is giving me some trouble this evening. So we're going to get this up and running on YouTube. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, so welcome everyone to our live streaming coverage on this Thursday evening. It's about 9:15 p.m. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in effect for our television viewing area, but there's been tornadoes this evening in parts of north central Ohio, and while conditions are not as favorable in far eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania for tornadic activity, we're going to keep a very close eye on things for the rest of the 9 o'clock hour. So let's kind of reset and show you where we are, at least in terms of our TV viewing area. Now, there is a severe thunderstorm warning that just barely grazes southeastern Lawrence County, but the threat has shifted to the south and east. There was a pretty big hail-producing storm heading into Butler County at the top of the hour at about 9 o'clock. So that one's pretty much off the board, at least in terms of our television viewing area. We also have a pretty strong storm in northern Columbiana County that's probably at least producing some small hail, could be up to dime-size hail or so coming out of this, approaching the Salem area. Now, we did have some decent hailstones earlier on from Lisbon up to Salem over towards the Columbiana, New Middletown areas. That was with the storm earlier this evening, and with this new storm coming up Route 9 and heading towards Salem, yeah, there could definitely be at least some dime-size hail coming out of that. Everything else in our viewing area is fairly garden variety. We just had a loud clap of thunder here in downtown Youngstown. There's a lot of lightning and thunder out there tonight, but there's not much of a wind or hail threat with this activity up in Mahoning County. It's coming down pretty good in Boardman, Austintown, Youngstown, Struthers, Lowellville, places like that. But all of that is sub-severe. Now, off to our west, this is where things have been, unfortunately, pretty interesting this evening. And there's been some fatalities in western Ohio with tornadic activity this evening. And this storm, which thankfully appears to be weakening quite a bit, this storm has had a history of producing large tornadoes off to the west along 224, not our local 224, but 224 well west of Akron out towards the Lodi area. Thankfully, the radar presentation on this storm as of 9:17 is not nearly as impressive as it was earlier on, but nonetheless, a tornado warning is still out for that storm until 9:30, including places like Chippewa, Milton, Rittman. This warning will probably not be extended to the east into Stark County, southern Summit County, if the current radar trends were to continue. And just kind of looking at things with my off-camera radar source here, the rotation is not as tight as earlier, that's for sure, but there's still a little bit of rotation embedded in this, northeast of Worcester. So this is north of Route 30, approaching the Summit Stark County line. And we'll keep an eye on this, but obviously the radar presentation isn't real classic looking. Earlier we had a very distinct hook echo with debris being lofted that we could see on the radar, and it looked pretty bad. All right, so that's the tornado warning that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Much of the other severe weather is down to the south, closer to Interstate 70, closer to the Columbus area. Several tornado warnings from the northern suburbs of Columbus up in Delaware County, heading down to the east closer to I-70, out towards Pickerington and especially east of there. All that activity is not a concern for us. The warning that I mentioned just a few moments ago just was allowed to expire or discontinued about 12 minutes early to the south and east of Lawrence County. This was a hail-producing storm that entered Butler County earlier on, and that warning for the southeastern part of Lawrence has been discontinued. So again, in our TV viewing area, pretty garden variety stuff right now, although we have a pretty strong storm in northern Columbiana County. Let's put a radar loop on this and show you. Let's actually back this up. Let's just show the last half an hour worth of radar data here. So it goes by a little bit slower. This is coming into Salem. This is making a beeline over towards Columbiana, certainly, Washingtonville, heading over towards New Middletown eventually as well. And again, this probably at least has some dime-sized hailstones embedded in this. And this is probably sub-severe. To be a severe thunderstorm in terms of hail, you need up to an inch in diameter hail. This is probably below that, but we're going to keep an eye on that. That's probably the strongest storm in our viewing area right now. If you're watching us from north of Interstate 80, you're missing out on most of the heavy action, and you're going to continue to miss out. So if you're north of Interstate 80 in Trumbull County, up in Warren, Niles, Vienna, Cortland, heading over into Mercer County, especially north of I-80, getting some rain and some rumbles, but everything is sub-severe, and I'm not concerned about severe weather that far to the north. Once we get through the next 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour, everything that is going on to the west of our tornado-warned storm is sub-severe. There's some lightning and thunder still, but all of that is sub-severe. And so we're going to be out of the woods in terms of a severe weather threat tonight. Once we kind of babysit this storm that has a history of producing a tornado that has weakened quite a bit as it's approached the Stark Summit County line heading to the north and east of Worcester. So I would suspect that here at the bottom of the hour, this tornado warning will be allowed to expire. Not certain about that. There's still a little weak rotation, but it's certainly not like what it was earlier. There's a little rotation still right near the Stark Summit County line, just northwest of Canal Fulton, near Marshallville. So we're looking at right in through here. There's still some broad rotation in there, but it's much, much more broad than it was earlier on this evening. So that tornado warning expires at 9:30, and I suspect it will be allowed to expire. And at this point, I don't think they'll need a new tornado warning downstream of that one. But in our viewing area, we're dealing with a doozy of a summer-like thunderstorm coming into Salem, Washingtonville, Columbiana. And as I suspected, they're going to discontinue that tornado warning for Wayne County. The one we were just talking about that's coming towards Stark and Summit County. That tornado warning being discontinued 10 minutes early. All right, so we no longer have any tornado warnings. But in our viewing area, this is a pretty strong storm with some hailstones and vivid lightning and heavy rain in the Salem area right now. This is just passing to the east of Sebring and Beloit. Hanoverton seeing some downpours right now. Again, heads up in Columbiana. This is coming your way. And this is tracking towards New Middletown as well, where it's already raining and there's some rumbles over there. But this strong storm is going to head your way here as we head deeper into the 9 o'clock hour. All right, so we're streaming live this evening for those just tuning in. We're streaming live this evening just in case we have any warnings for our television viewing area. At this point, I don't see anything real threatening that would lead me to believe that a warning is imminent. But we're going to keep a close eye on things for a little while here. We have some strong storms around. The storms that unfortunately produced some very strong tornadoes earlier on this evening in north central Ohio and western Ohio, that same storm started to encounter much more stable air coming into eastern Ohio, and so that tornado warning out in Wayne County, Ohio, west of Canton, has been allowed to expire. In fact, it was discontinued about 8 minutes early. So, fingers crossed that we don't have any more rotation to contend with this evening anywhere with these storms, and I kind of suspect we won't because the environment overhead in far eastern Ohio and western PA is not nearly as favorable as it was earlier this evening in places like Lodi and Worcester and Mansfield, heading down towards Columbus as well. A lot of wind shear, but not as unstable of an atmosphere once you get east of I-77 into eastern Ohio, western PA. In other words, there's wind shear. There's changing of the wind, both the direction and the speed with height through the atmosphere, but the uplift in the atmosphere, the instability, is not as prominent as it was in parts of north central Ohio. Where we still have a tornado watch out, it's out here across the I-77 corridor and points west. They will probably start discontinuing this watch out here pretty soon in northern Ohio. They extended the watch piecemeal over the last few hours to include some counties in eastern Ohio, including the I-77 corridor, Carroll County, and heading down towards the Wheeling area as well. But that watch was not extended so far to the east that it did not include anybody in our viewing area, including Columbiana and Mahoning County. So the original watch was just for central and northern Ohio and points west. They added a few counties at a time over the last couple of hours, but did not extend it all the way to the state line in Pennsylvania and Ohio. Just scanning for any other items of note out there. There's probably some hail still ongoing over in Lawrence County. It's sub-severe, I would say, but wouldn't be surprised if around Newcastle right now we had some pretty decent hailstones falling over there, heading up towards the state line and closer to far eastern Mahoning County. Probably at least a little bit of hail, some peas perhaps. Wouldn't be surprised if we had some dime-size hail, though, coming through the Salem area, heading towards Columbiana as well. Not going to be surprised at all if we have some decent hailstones coming out of that. Again, probably sub-severe. Probably not reaching 3/4 of an inch or an inch in diameter, but at least maybe some peas and maybe even some up to penny or dime size hail with this cluster right here that's coming to the east-northeast. And so it's about to enter Mahoning County. Looking off to the west again, this is the storm that we were talking about earlier. Now our graphical display still has this as a tornado-warned storm in northeastern Wayne County, but the Weather Service did about 3 or 4 minutes ago discontinue this. This will disappear from our graphical system in about 5 minutes at 9:30. So that was the storm. This is the one right here, just south of Akron. This is the storm that earlier on produced big tornadoes out in north central Ohio. And lots of reports, lots of videos and images I've seen of some damage to structures across north central Ohio. But it thankfully has weakened over the last half an hour or 45 minutes as it has come to the east. We're going to keep an eye on that, though, because sometimes these things do cycle. I don't expect it to cycle up a lot, but could it perk up a little bit more? Possibly. But, that's a low-end chance, I would say, at this point. Also, if you have friends or family down in central Ohio, busy night down there. Tornado warnings north side of Columbus, heading down towards Newark, close to I-70 as well. So they're still under the gun down there. Also a couple of warnings, or at least one warning, tornado warning in western Ohio, northeast of Dayton. Big lightning producer out there. And the severe weather risk actually extends pretty far to the west tonight. This is a big, busy night with severe weather, much more like late spring. Catching much of Indiana, southern Illinois, western Kentucky. In fact, tornado watches extend all the way down into far northeastern Texas. Big tornado watch boxes tonight. Northeastern Texas all the way into eastern Ohio. So it's a very busy night, and the pattern lately has been much more like late spring than early spring, so it's no surprise that we have more like a late spring setup across the area. We have a pretty strong cold front coming in. This is the front that's going to knock our temperatures back on Friday. It's the first of 2 fronts, actually, that is heading our way. The first one is coming in right now. The second one comes in Saturday night. That second one will make for a chilly St. Patrick's Day on Sunday, and cold enough to see a few snow flurries early next week. Monday and into Monday night and Tuesday. So winter's not done just yet. We would never say we've seen the last snowflakes in mid-March around here. You know how it goes around here. We can see snowflakes well into spring sometimes. In the past 6-7 years, we've even had accumulating snow during the 2nd and 3rd weeks of May. Now that's pretty unusual, but it's not unheard of. So anyway, point being, this is a pretty good clash of the air masses tonight. It's warm. It's actually kind of humid for the middle of March. And with a cold front coming in, no surprise that we've got a pretty good outbreak of thunderstorms tonight, including the threat for some strong ones. So some hail-producing storms coming across the Mahoning-Columbiana line right now. It is really coming down in Columbiana and around Latonia and up towards Beaver, and look out in New Middletown here pretty soon. The drive up and down Route 11 is no fun right now from Columbiana County up into Mahoning County. There's probably some ponding on the roads and certainly some low visibility, and probably some hailstones falling out of this as well. Further down into Columbiana County, this becomes more run-of-the-mill stuff down here with probably no hail, but some downpours and some rumbles of thunder from Summitville to Salineville, heading up towards Hanoverton and Guilford Lake as well. And again, if you're watching from kind of the middle and northern portions of our viewing area, pretty garden variety rain and rumbles of thunder around Youngstown right now and heading up towards Weathersfield, Warren, Vienna, Brookfield, Yankee Lake, places like that. Heading over towards Sharon. If you're north of Interstate 80, no problems tonight. Just the pitter-patter of raindrops, no severe weather threat. The threat for stronger storms remains for a little while here in the 9 o'clock hour south of Interstate 80. All right, so again, the biggest player in town right now is this guy, and what we can actually do is take a little slice here of this storm and show you what's going on as far as how tall this is getting in the sky. The top of this storm around Columbiana right now, up to about 40,000 feet, tapping into some much colder air up there. So the freezing level is encountered, the rising air forms frozen precipitation, starts congealing together. You get hailstones, and eventually those hailstones get too heavy to be supported by the updraft, and they fall to the ground. And so that's what we're seeing. At least probably some pea size, perhaps even pennies or dimes, coming through the Columbiana area right now. However, the last couple of scans of the radar do not look as impressive as previously, as this was moving across northwestern Columbiana County and just east of Alliance earlier on. This doesn't look as impressive as it did when it impacted those areas earlier on here in the 9 o'clock hour. All right, so again, we'll recap. I know people pop in and out of live streams, and this is actually the first severe weather live stream we've done since August, so we're getting used to doing this again, shaking off the rust a little bit. And just a reminder for those who are a little bit new to our live streaming coverage, when we cover severe weather like this with live streams on the internet, WFMJ.com, the Storm Tracker 21 app, my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, a lot of times, I tend to repeat myself a lot because I know how people watch these things. A lot of people are watching on their phone, and they're not going to sit here and watch 45 straight minutes. They're going to watch, most people anyway, are going to watch the part of the coverage that pertains to their area. They don't really care as much about what's going on a few counties away. Some people do, and that's great. But some people just are going to pop onto the stream to check out what's going on in their neighborhood, and then maybe check in 15 minutes later. And so I tend to go over some of the same stuff over and over again, because I know people are popping in and out of the stream. So if you are watching continuously, you'll have to excuse me for being repetitive sometimes when we cover severe weather, but that's just kind of how we have to do it. All right, so we're going to hang with this for another 5 or 10 minutes and make sure that we don't have any new severe weather threats. Upstream, that storm that produced the tornado earlier no longer looks like it's a threat to produce a tornado, but there's probably some decent hailstones coming out of this on the south side of Akron and coming across 224 over towards Mogador, over towards Suffield. There's probably at least some dime-size hail coming out of that. Mostly south of Cuyahoga Falls and from about downtown Akron on south and east. So we're going to watch that one as it comes across Portage County. It probably hugs I-76 or just goes to the south of I-76 as it comes across Portage County. It may just miss Kent and Brimfield and Ravenna to the south, may grab the Rootstown area, so we'll keep an eye on that one. The Weather Service in Cleveland noting that we still have a couple of storms that definitely bear watching, including this one out here. This again is north central Ohio, south and west of Cleveland. Still some pretty decent structure to that storm. And so that's one we got to watch, and then the one to the east of that is still one we have to watch. This is the one that earlier on produced a big tornado in north central Ohio. The tornado risk with this one appears to have lowered substantially, but it's probably at least producing some dime-size hail, perhaps pennies, southeast of Akron now, coming into southwestern Portage County, south of Ravenna. And as expected, the Weather Service is starting to discontinue parts of the tornado watch. So we can bring that up graphically. They've started shaving some counties out of northern Ohio. Some of the counties back in here have been taken out of the watch. And they'll continue to do that piecemeal for the next hour or two. The original watch is set to expire at midnight in northern Ohio and 1 a.m. once you're down into southeast Ohio. All right, just real quickly, thanks to everyone who's checking in on my social media. When it comes to busy, severe weather nights, don't have a lot of time to answer questions on social media because I've got to keep a real close eye on the radar. And of course, when I'm live streaming, I'm paying attention to broadcasting and not looking at my devices a whole lot. That's just how we have to do it sometimes. But thanks to everyone who is chiming in and telling me what they're seeing. Mark says it's hitting Salem pretty good right now. Laura mentioned about 20 minutes ago they lost power in Austintown. Lightning got intense there, but that was about 20 minutes ago. Thanks to everyone who's commenting on my YouTube channel as well. Brandon on YouTube asking what are the plus signs on the map. Again, for those who aren't familiar with how we do streaming coverage and what our graphical output looks like, we distinguish lightning between positive voltage and negative voltage strikes. Our radar program is able to do that. The reason we do that is, even though all lightning is dangerous, positive voltage lightnings, the ones that have the plus signs, they tend to be more dangerous because positive voltage lightning strikes have a higher voltage. They tend to hit things on the ground more often. And so again, all lightning is dangerous, whether it's positive voltage or negative voltage. It's just the positive voltage strikes tend to be even more dangerous. So yes, all the lightning symbols and the plus signs are all lightning on our map. Some TV stations don't do that. We like to do that just to give everybody a heads up. If you see a bunch of plus signs, that means the lightning is really intense, and you really don't want to be out in that because that could be pretty dangerous. It looks to me like the hail threat is starting to lower a little bit with this storm coming through East Palestine right now. Just finishing up in Columbiana. This from Unity in East Palestine over into southwestern Lawrence County. It's probably still at least producing some small hail as it comes over towards Little Beaver and again south and west of Newcastle. This is grazing New Middletown. It's impacting a lot of the East Palestine area right now. The storm upstream out here, this is now in southwestern Portage County, definitely is producing at least a little bit of hail. We do actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued by the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh that covers southern Columbiana County until 10 o'clock. So this covers areas around and south of Route 30 in Columbiana County, just south of Lisbon. So you're in the warning in West Point, heading down towards Glenmore, Calcutta, Wellsville, East Liverpool. It goes back Route 39, catches Highlandtown, catches Salineville as well. This severe thunderstorm warning issued because of this guy right out here. This is near Delroy, near the Atwood Lake area in western Carroll County. And yeah, it's probably at least producing some small hail, and it may be producing a pretty good gust of wind as well. Let's look at the wind data off the Pittsburgh radar source. Now, this is pretty far from the Pittsburgh radar, so it looks pretty noisy, but it is probably producing some hailstones around Delroy right now, although our in-house system is not detecting anything of note in terms of hail. But again, to recap, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning in our southern viewing area. This covers in Carroll County from Delroy through Carrollton, and then in Columbiana County catches Salineville, catches West Point, Glenmore, Calcutta, Wellsville area, East Liverpool area as well. And this is south of East Palestine, south of Columbiana, and again, mostly south of the Lisbon area as well. This severe thunderstorm warning runs until 10 o'clock this evening. It's actually not because of the activity that's over Columbiana County right now. It's actually, this warning is because of this storm that's out here and heading in this direction. It's near Delroy right now and heading off to the east, northeast. The speed on that is fast, moving at 70 miles per hour or so. So real quickly, we'll just do a storm track on this. We'll estimate some times here as far as when to expect this storm. Probably coming into southern Columbiana County about 9:45 to 9:50. Over towards East Liverpool closer to 10 o'clock, state line near 10 o'clock as well. So, for the next 20 minutes in southern Columbiana County, we have to be on the lookout for this storm, which probably is at least producing some small hail, maybe even a little bit of medium-sized hail around Delroy and Atwood Lake right now in western Carroll County. All right, so to reset then, we have that warning in southern Columbiana County, no warnings elsewhere in our television viewing area. There's probably some hailstones here and there over in Lawrence County, especially around and east of Newcastle right now. Maybe a few hailstones as well in southwestern Lawrence County, southwest of Newcastle, just getting done with the East Palestine area. And we have a couple of storms still upstream that we've got to watch, including maybe especially, oops, let's try that again. Let's move our map over here and watch this one as it moves through Portage County, hugging Route 224, mostly south of I-76, kind of between 76 and 224. The Weather Service office in Pittsburgh is noting that they're seeing some reports from spotters of hail ranging from peas to quarters. Now that's including all of their coverage area, not just the counties that the Pittsburgh Weather Service office covers in our viewing area, but all of their area of the Pittsburgh Weather Service office covers a lot of eastern Ohio, the Panhandle, West Virginia, southern and southwestern Pennsylvania as well, and they're noting that they're seeing a scattering of hail reports still out there, ranging from peas to quarters. And there's probably some at least pea-size hail in this storm in Portage County. This is coming east, so we may have to track this all the way across Route 224. And the Weather Service in Cleveland did issue a severe thunderstorm warning for this trailing kind of final storm of the night out towards, again, the 224 area, but farther to the west. This is south of Cleveland near Lodi. And this is the same area that got hit with a tornado earlier on, this general vicinity. We had a very strong tornado in this area earlier on this evening. Let's zoom out and take a look at kind of the big picture here, and we'll put a radar loop on this. Take off the warning information so this is just a little bit cleaner to look at. We do have very active night unfolding down towards I-70, and a lot of lightning and thunder in western PA as well. In our television viewing area, you know, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not familiar with my main coverage area, I'm a television meteorologist in Youngstown, and our television viewing area covers 3 counties in eastern Ohio and a couple in western PA near the state line. This is kind of that area. And in our area, we have mostly garden variety thunderstorms right now with some small hail embedded in some of these. And we also have one severe thunderstorm down in Carroll County with some hailstones coming through Carrollton right now. So heads up over across Route 39 from Carrollton right across towards Mechanicstown, over towards Salineville as well, and eventually Highlandtown, and heading over towards the Glenmore area, just to the north of East Liverpool. This is kind of a Route 39 special, if you will, coming across the southern tier of Columbiana County. Now we have some rain and some rumbles already over towards Calcutta and Beaver Creek State Park and places like that, but this is the non-severe part. The warning is because of what's going on in Carroll County upstream right now. And again, this is racing eastward very quickly, 70 miles per hour plus as far as the forward speed of this pretty compact little storm coming through Carroll County. I don't see any real evidence right now that we have to worry about rotation with this. It's the hail threat that prompted the warning. Don't see any evidence that this is rotating as it comes through the Carrollton area right now. The storm upstream in Portage County is sub-severe. This is the same thing that produced a tornado earlier on, a couple of hours west of here, in north central Ohio. But the tornado threat with this storm has pretty much gone to nil at this point. Don't see any rotation left with this. But some small hailstones probably still right along 224 out in Portage County. And we have one more severe thunderstorm warning west of there, near Wadsworth, Lodi, Medina, in effect until 10:15. Probably some hailstones, and there's still a little bit of rotation trying to be exhibited by that, but it's mostly a hail threat just east of Lodi right now. And if you're familiar with north central Ohio, Lodi is right along I-76. You go through that area if you're meeting up with I-71, the I-76 and 71 interchange out there west of Akron. That's where that is. So again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning until the top of the hour, 10 o'clock, for the southern tier of Columbiana County from Salineville across Route 39 towards Calcutta, Glenmore, parts of the East Liverpool area, mostly south of the heart of Lisbon, closer to West Point, included in that severe thunderstorm warning. You're not in the warning out towards Guilford Lake, Hanoverton, New Garden, and heading up into the northern tier of Columbiana County, closer to the Salem and Columbiana areas. And if you're watching from our northern viewing area tonight, you're missing out on the severe weather threat, rain and rumbles across the I-80 corridor, Sharon to Vienna to Warren. It's a kind of a damp evening, some claps of thunder here and there, and kind of looks and feels more like a May evening, that is for sure. If you're watching us from Mahoning County, we're going to keep an eye on the guy coming across 224 right now with some small hail, perhaps with that, but no longer much of a threat in terms of any strong winds or rotation with that. Our main focus is going to be for another 15 or 20 minutes down in Columbiana County, the southern part of the county especially. This is making a beeline across Route 39, heading across the Carrollton area into Mechanicstown, into Salineville here before too much longer, and it's racing to the east at about 70 plus miles per hour. That's a fast forward speed for a thunderstorm. Yeah, there's been a mass casualty incident in western Ohio, Logan County. In that, it's been a rough day in Ohio, unfortunately. And I'm not real plugged in right now on social media because I'm broadcasting. But when I catch up later this evening, it'll be interesting to see exactly what the statistics are, how many tornadoes we think there were that touched down, what unfortunately the casualty numbers have been, because we have heard of some casualties in western and northern Ohio this evening. So bad night in a lot of the area. Now the ingredients for severe weather in the eastern part of Ohio and into western Pennsylvania have not been as good, if you will, or as favorable as areas to the west and northwest of our TV viewing area. And that's why we've had stronger weather and continued tornado warnings closer to I-70 this evening. Look at all this lightning and thunder down towards between Route 30 and or Interstate 70 in central Ohio this evening, including a few active tornado warnings still out. Back in our TV market, we have until the top of the hour for this severe thunderstorm warning that for the storm that's coming out of Carroll County right now. So if you're watching this live stream from southern Columbiana County, especially in the next 10 minutes or so in Salineville and surrounding areas, be ready for a pretty good thunderstorm to come through, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had some pretty decent sized hailstones coming out of this. Let's take a little slice of this and see what we got going on as far as how tall this guy is. I bet it's pretty tall. The true top of this storm is probably getting up to 40 to 50,000 feet. The biggest or the biggest returns or the highest reflectivity values, in other words the brightest colors, getting up to 30,000 feet or so. That's certainly sufficient to produce some decent sized hailstones. Now the kind of hailstones that are going to puncture big holes in your windshield and things like that, no, probably not, but maybe up to a quarter size, maybe up to 1 inch in diameter. Weather Service in Cleveland mentioning they're keeping an eye on the, kind of the traffic patterns on Google Maps this evening near Plymouth, Ohio. That's out in north central Ohio near Lodi, that general vicinity. And they can tell just from the traffic maps where the tornado damage is because there's a lot of traffic, people doing rescues and cleanup work and things like that. $50 hail down in Harrison and Tuscarawas counties with this warning down here. Southeast of New Philly. This is closer to Uricksville and Midvale, heading over across 250, closer to Cadiz, Deersville. Hailstones through with this guy right here might be up to a $50 size. Now that is the kind of hail that can certainly produce some damage, especially hail that's wind blown. Now there's probably not a tremendous amount of wind with this, but there might be some. But if you have hail that big and it's being wind blown, then it can really do damage to siding and houses and structures and whatnot. Hailstones that aren't driven by the wind tend to not do quite as much damage unless they're really, really big. The big bombs coming out of the sky. Those can do damage even if they're not being blown by the wind. We saw some pretty dramatic video earlier on today of hailstones that big out in the Plain States, where big hail is definitely more common than it is in the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley. We, of course, get hail around here, but not often do we get really, really big hailstones. It's just not as favorable of an environment around here. So yeah, that's a big one down there. Closer to home, though, we're going to focus in the near term on this guy. We'll probably keep the live stream going here until the top of the hour upon the expiration of this warning for southern Columbiana County. The activity upstream bears watching, but I'm not real concerned about it. And gonna have to start getting ready for the 11 o'clock newscast as well. So we'll keep you updated on social media once we finish the live stream. But we'll stay with you till the top of the hour here as this storm races into southern Columbiana County with some decent-sized hailstones about to enter southwestern Columbiana County and just about to exit eastern Carroll County. Again, Salineville, next 5-10 minutes. This is coming right at you. And it's coming across Route 39, or it might end up just kind of going just north of Route 39 as it goes deeper into Columbiana County. So hence the severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until the top of the hour. It includes Salineville, Highlandtown, heading over towards the East Liverpool area, Glenmore, Calcutta, West Point, all the way to the state line as well. All right, so let's reset, and then we'll focus more in southern Columbiana County. That's the only warning for our viewing area. We do have a stronger storm entering Mahoning County here pretty soon. This is right along Route 224, coming right across 224 and just south of I-76. This is now south and east of Rootstown, near Atwater. So heads up Berlin and over towards Ellsworth eventually, and maybe just grazing the Lake Milton and Craig Beach area, or maybe just south of there. And eventually we might track this all the way into Canfield and Boardman along 224, but we'll see how it holds together in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. Over in Lawrence County, it looks like our hail threat is just about over. Maybe some peas here and there, especially down towards Elwood City, but rain and rumbles otherwise over in Lawrence right now. And upstream, we have one more severe thunderstorm warning. This is out towards Wadsworth, Ohio. Some hailstones certainly out here with this. This is near I-76. Moved through Lodi a little while ago. And then all sorts of action down to the south and east. And I mentioned a few moments ago on the live stream, maybe some $half size hail in southern Tuscarawas County. Port Washington, south of Uricksville, south of Midvale, from Port Washington on eastward. This is a nasty, nasty storm down there. In Columbiana County, it's rolling through Salineville right now. Some hailstones and some heavy, heavy rain. Weather Service is going to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Portage, Stark, and Summit. So let's look at that graphically. There it is right there. And this is because of the Wadsworth storm. So it's not because of what's going through eastern Portage right now. It's because of what is coming into the Barberton area, exiting Wadsworth here momentarily. That warning runs until 10:30. So the 224 corridor, the I-76 corridor from Akron eastward under a severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30. The storm that's entering our viewing area, coming across into Berlin, heading over towards Ellsworth, this is sub-severe. Might be a few hailstones with this, but it's sub-severe, it looks like at this point. Yeah, I would say there's probably still some peas coming out of this north of Alliance. Up into southeastern Portage County. So it's kind of a gravy train of storms still along that 224 corridor. 224 has been kind of the hot spot. Not here locally, of course. Yeah, we've had some rain and some rumbles, but the 224 corridor out to our west has been a very active spot over the last several hours. These storms have kind of wanted to line up near that 224 corridor. across north central Ohio. Show you the current kind of hail tracks, and I'll take off the warning banners here so it's a little easier to see. Yeah, the biggest hailstones are definitely down here in southern Tuscarawas County, south of New Philly, extreme southern parts of the county, now east of I-77, coming towards the Route 250 corridor southeast of New Philly. And again, maybe some P's in some of these storms in our viewing area and about to enter our viewing area, but all of that is really, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal. They could be a little bit bigger than P's, maybe up to dime size, once you're down here into the warned area in southern Columbiana County. So this is right around Southern High School right now along Route 39, the 164 corridor as well. So if you're around Route 39 up towards Route 518, and again closer to West Point, this is coming your way. The heart of this is probably going to miss East Liverpool just to the north, probably going to miss Wellsville just to the north as well. Might graze the Glenmore area, and certainly from Glenmore over to West Point. Looks like it's coming your way. And this is moving very, very quickly at about 70 miles per hour plus. Very, very quick. And so the warning's only in effect for southern Columbiana County for another 5 minutes. This will be near the state line only in 5 or 7 minutes. So it's racing quickly. They might issue a new warning to cover the far eastern part of Columbiana County because it might not make it all the way, the state line here at the top of the hour. And so we might get a new warning that looks, something like this, that runs until like maybe 10:15 or 10:30 or something like that. The warning just upstream of our viewing area, again across the I-76 and Route 224 corridors, runs until 10:30, including Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, Stowe, the Kent and Ravenna area, Rootstown, places like that. All right, looks like we got a new warning that again kind of clips our viewing area. It's kind of the same part of Lawrence County that was in a warning earlier on. And so this new polygon extends from East Palestine over into northern Beaver County, southeastern Lawrence, and into Butler County. This same area had a warning, I think, back in the early in the 9 o'clock hour. So this is south and east of Newcastle, closer to Elwood City. So basically from East Palestine to Elwood City and points to the east over into Butler County. New warning in effect until 10:45. Our current warning is only in effect until the top of the hour, 3 more minutes down here in Columbiana County. It's because this storm is racing so quickly. Already in 3 or 4 minutes, this is going to be near the state line. So you don't have long to get ready for this in kind of the Glenmore area, heading up towards West Point as well. This is coming through very quickly with some small hailstones and a gust of wind and some briefly heavy rain. There's not much lightning and thunder left with this as it pushes through. But again, the warning that was just issued by the Pittsburgh Weather Service office grazes our viewing area. Extreme northeastern Columbiana County, and you're just about out of the woods, I would say, in East Palestine with that particular storm. The heaviest of the weather is over into Beaver County, Darlington, Beaver Falls, places like that. You are in the warning until 10:45, Elwood City, over towards Portersville, and closer to the I-79 corridor. But you're not in the warning in Newcastle, in New Wilmington, and up towards Grove City and into the Slippery Rock area as well. It's just south of Slippery Rock that the warning is in effect for. It seems to me the warned storm upstream out here around Akron is strong. Is it severe? I'm not sure if it is anymore. The hailstones look pretty small to me, probably under an inch in diameter. The wind fields do not look particularly impressive with this. So the heaviest of the weather right now is right around the Akron area and heading down towards Barberton. But it seems to me that right now we're in a phase of the life cycle of this cell that is pretty sub-severe. A strong storm, no doubt. But it's coming east quickly. This one is traveling at 50 to 60 miles per hour. So we can do a storm track on this one. Are we heading due east with this? Yeah, pretty much. So under that premise, we can kind of expect this into our viewing area here towards the bottom of the hour. 10:15 to 10:30 coming into western Mahoning County and into the Salem area closer to 10:30. The Canfield area 10:40 or so. You're not going to see every city in the world listed on here, but you can kind of extrapolate. You know, the kind of the 224 corridor, Ellsworth probably about 10:30 to 10:35. Canfield maybe closer to 10:40. Boardman maybe 10:45. Youngstown 10:45, 10:50, something like that for the portion of the storm that is currently warned. They went ahead and allowed the Columbiana warning to expire, the one for this storm down here that's moving through Glenmore right now. But some small hailstones and a doozy of a downpour, no doubt. Beaver Local School District getting slammed with this pretty good. And again, the Glenmore area seeing some downpours. This is coming into Calcutta and making a beeline over towards the Beaver Creek State Park. Heavy storm over into Beaver County, PA. We're under a warning in southern Lawrence County, but a lot of this is just kind of barely grazing southeastern Lawrence County as we speak. So with that being said, here at the top of the hour, we're going to discontinue the live stream at this point. I'll post on social media as needed over the next hour if we have interesting things to show you and talk about. But it looks like overall the severe weather risk remains very marginal. Certainly not zero, but it's kind of a marginal situation for the next hour or so, and then for the rest of the night I think we'll be left with scattered showers, and we have no more severe weather threats beyond tonight anytime remotely soon as we get into a cooler, much more March-like instead of May-like weather pattern. Hope you'll tune in tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock. If you're up late, I'll have a recap of what happened today, not only locally but across the region. We'll talk about Friday and the weekend and much, much more. In the meantime, thanks for watching this live.